position. Everyone else taking part decided to stay on the beach. Strictly speaking, of course, none of these things are legal, but you don't really take the New Year's Day race that seriously. So last week, you saw us take Pepsi, our National 12 dinghy, out for its first race. Well, this week, we go back a couple of days before that race, where I quickly talk you through the things we've been doing with it over the winter to prepare it for this race.
I said I'm 18 already.
So, I've taken the sail down because it's windy. It's over 20 knots most of the time. I'm in the shelter of these buildings out here, so it's better. And we get gusts in the 30s. And unfortunately, it's kind of been like that over Christmas. There's been two mild days. Oh, in fact, it's 13 degrees or something here, where it was like -2 a couple of days ago. It's going up and down all over the place, the weather here. For the wind, we've had 2 light wind days, both of which, unfortunately, is Christmas. We've had commitments. And today, being the Saturday, it's the 30th of December, it's the first chance I've had really to get the sails up and have a look at it, and it's blowing a gale. We still haven't had a chance to sail it. It's a New Year's Day race in obviously a couple of days. It's still a bit touch and go whether we're going to go out, because if it stays like this, we're not going out. Ordinarily, I like the wind, we would, but first sailing a boat that you've not sailed before, that you've had to re-rope, there's a lot of reasons it could go horribly wrong, so we wouldn't. If it drops down below 20, we might, and at the moment the forecast is that it might do that, so we might still do it. So this film may or may not come out in the right sequence. If we don't go sailing, I'll show you what we've done with the boat, which is what I'm going to do now. If we do go sailing, you'll see that film first probably, because it'll be more interesting than this. So yeah, less of the waffle. What I've basically done to the boat. So essentially, it's still the same as it was, except I've moved. I like to separate the controls you fiddle with all the time from the controls you don't fiddle with all the time. So obviously, you fiddle with the sheets, that's why you keep the sheets handy. On a boat like this, you fiddle with the kicker almost constantly, so I like the kicker handy. Things like the outhaul, I tend to have a kind of a on-off switch for the outhaul. I have a setting that I like to use upwind and a setting I like to use offwind, and maybe a little bit in between. So that I have moved to the boom. It used to be threaded down to go to the thwart, but it's all extra rope, and it put a lot of lag in the system, so I've moved it to the boom. Rig controls, which used to be up the front of the back of the centre case, you get in the way. I've now moved to the front of the centre case, and I've increased the purchase. It was 8 to 1, they're now 16 to 1. Same as on the forestay, jib halyard, however you want to describe that, that's now 16 to 1. So I've now got good purchase on it. That I've left in the same position, which is down here. I've changed the lowers as well, which are the front, which are now also 16 to 1. And before, for whatever reason, he had the lowers, each lower on its own rope, which is crazy as far as I'm concerned. So now they're joined, and I've brought that back to the thwart area, because I like to fiddle with the lowers, because that kind of works in conjunction with the kicker. On the subject of this, whoever fitted the boat out decided that was obviously the original position for those through deck pulleys. Obviously decided they didn't like this silly angle. To be honest, I don't like the silly angle either. So they decided to move them to these positions here, but made such a mess of doing it, they just pulled out. When I went to buy the boat, I could see that one of them was pulled out, and I just thought, oh, it's just pulled out, you know, that sort of thing happens to dinghies, not worry about it. When I took them all off, I realised they were all about to pull out. They were so badly fitted. Effectively, the square hole that is for the through hole to go into was so large, there was no meat left for the screw to take purchase. So I've moved the ones I can, which are now effectively is my Cunningham and lowers, back to the original hole. I had to then buy the little reverse fair lead for the cleats, which isn't ideal. What it really wants is like a pulley, a small pulley on the rope there to sort of tension it. But that'll have to wait for another day. So on the subject of other changes, I've fitted, can you see that? Yeah. I fitted the T-foil rudder I made for email onto it, which we kept hold of. I've never seen another 12 with a foil, so I've no idea what the right thing is to do. But me and a friend of mine who knows his stuff sat down and worked out what we thought a foil should be and built that. Well, actually we built 3 of them. That's the one that survived. And the rudder stock to go with it, which is a bit of an abortion that's kind of grown. I built it and it wasn't quite strong enough, so I kept putting bits of carbon on it until it did work. And the way our adjustment works is we have a kind of I've opened up the hole there so the pin can move backwards and forwards in it. I've made a new pintle for the bottom with effectively a big slot in it so it can move backwards and forwards. The line that goes through it there and then that line comes out and is connected to what is effectively a 16:1 purchase and comes up to a swivel cleat on here. Now you don't need 16:1, but as you can see it means that the final knot moves quite a long way up and down the deck, so we get a sense of how much adjustment, because if I was just doing it on that small amount of adjustment in that lower pintle, I'd never find the sweet spot. Of course I don't know what the sweet spot is yet. On email I very carefully worked out where level was so I could set the foil in the level position, and that wasn't the 0 point, because the water as it comes out from underneath the back of the boat is kind of going up. So you've got the neutral point is whatever the angle of that water is, and of course I've no idea what it is on this. It won't be as much as email. Email had its rocker, point of maximum rocker, right at the back of the boat, which made it suitable for a T-foil. This is a Foolish, which doesn't have so much, but even so it isn't going to be horizontal as such, and so I've no idea where 0 is at the moment, which is part of what we want to sail for really before we race, but that's not going to happen. I've also cut a nice big slot in the boom so I can run the main sheet through the boom, and then at the back I cut out the back of the boom, made myself a little stainless pin that takes a shackle so that pivots inside there, and it all looks very neat, but it does mean it twists the boom as I pull the main sheet in and out, because now it's all kind of fixed. So as I'm pulling, actually one other point here, I've gone to a centre main sheet off the boom sheeting. The traditional way of sailing a 12 is transom sheeting. I don't like that, so I've gone there, and it does mean now though, like I'm saying, that kind of as because this is an oval section boom, and as I'm pulling this now I'm twisting the boom, and I don't know, I might find the first time we sail this and put any kind of load on the boom, because the loads are all kind of now pulling, might be pulling. It's obviously oval section so that you pull through the maximum point, but that point varies obviously, because if you were just straight up and down, which is the easy way to think of it, you'd have it vertical all the time, because it's not straight up and down, is it? Because the sail's getting pulled to the side, so there must be a bit of an angle to it, and I've no idea what the angle is. Maybe my off the boom main sheet now is going to angle it perfectly and I won't have any problems, or maybe it'll angle it too much and the first time I pull the kicker on or something it'll snap the boom in half. Only one way to find out, isn't there? Anyway, this has already dragged on more than I wanted to. That's kind of where we're at. I've now got not a standard fitment on a 12, but a tube that I can hopefully put my camera on, so that when we go sailing on New Year's Day you can all come with us. Anyway, that's it. You might have seen the boat in action, you might not, but either way that's what we've done so far, and when we sail it we'll probably do a whole heap of other changes, but yeah, it's good. Oh, and the sail, I said the sail, Now I said the sail seemed a bit fat in the head. It's not fat in the head, it's just because I couldn't set the mast up properly. It's actually not, the head of the sail actually is showing its age. It's not holding its shape as well as it should, but it's not too fat. In fact, arguably I'd say the whole sail's too flat for us, but I don't know. Again, I'm still not really going to know until I sail it, but now I've had it up and I've had a bit of breeze and I've got some control of the mast, I can see that it's not too bad. Anyway, that's it. I'm Ian. This is Sailing with the Foxwell family, and hopefully in a couple of days we'll find out what difference this has made. See you.